You didn't lose your loan application today. It was rejected before anyone opened it. Before a doctor reviews your case, a priority score may already exist. Before a judge reads a file, risk has already been calculated. Before a hiring manager meets you, ranking systems may have decided whether you're worth interviewing. The decision often happens before the decision makers arrive. Systems now score risk, predict behavior, and quietly rank outcomes across hospitals, courts, banks, and insurance companies. When outcomes are statistically framed before human review, decision authority quietly moves away from humans. Nothing looks automated. You still see people, meet professionals, hear explanations. But increasingly, humans confirm decisions shaped somewhere else. That's the shift. Not when AI started helping decisions. When decisions stopped starting with us. There used to be a clear moment when decisions happened. People gathered, information was discussed, someone weighed uncertainty. A loan officer reviewed your history. A doctor evaluated symptoms. A judge listened before ruling. The process wasn't perfect. People disagreed. Bias existed. Mistakes happened. But one thing felt clear. A human being made the call. If something went wrong, responsibility had a direction. You could ask, why was this decided? And someone answered. You could actually see decisions being made. People could disagree openly. Someone might argue for caution while another pushed forward. You could watch uncertainty unfold in real time. That mattered more than people realized. Because seeing hesitation meant a decision was still human. It meant judgment was happening live, not calculated somewhere else beforehand. Meetings, conversations, judgment. Nothing existed until someone chose. That visibility mattered, because that's where real authority felt like it lived. You trusted outcomes, partly because you witnessed the process. Even when decisions felt unfair, they felt understandable. Someone listened. Someone interpreted, someone accepted responsibility. The decision belonged to the moment, not to an invisible system operating long before anyone entered the room. Now look at how many decisions begin. In courts across the United States, systems like COMPAS generate reoffending risk scores before sentencing discussions begin. Hospitals use triage models to rank patients before clinicians enter rooms. Banks calculate creditworthiness instantly using automated scoring. Insurance companies estimate claim risk before agents speak to customers. The human interaction still happens. But something else happens first. A system quietly narrows the options. Most people never see this stage. They experience only the final interaction, the appointment, the meeting, the rejection email, the approval notice. What disappears is everything filtered away beforehand. Options removed quietly, without confrontation or explanation. The decision space shrinks before discussion even begins. Hundreds of options become a shortlist. Some people move forward, others quietly disappear from consideration. No announcement, no confrontation. The odds simply get rearranged. A dashboard highlights risk, a queue reshuffles automatically. A recommendation appears already justified by data. When systems define starting positions, humans stop deciding freely and begin deciding within boundaries. Most professionals don't notice the shift because the system feels helpful, efficient, safer, and often statistically correct. That's why resistance rarely appears dramatic. No one announces that authority has moved. Professionals simply begin trusting the recommendation more often because it works frequently enough to feel reliable. Performance slowly replaces intuition, not by force, but by repetition. The real change arrives when disagreement becomes risky. Imagine overriding a risk score. A judge gives leniency. A clinician escalates care. A loan officer approves against recommendation. If nothing goes wrong, nobody notices. If something does, the record remains. Model prediction, documented. Human override, documented. The question changes, not, was this complex, but, why ignore the system? Following the system is defensible. Overriding it requires explanation. Explanation creates exposure, so behavior adapts. At first, the change is subtle. A professional double-checks the score before deciding. Then they hesitate before disagreeing. Eventually, disagreement feels unnecessary unless something looks obviously wrong. Judgment doesn't disappear. It becomes cautious around the system, gradually. Professionals begin aligning decisions with system recommendations, not because they must, but because going against it suddenly feels risky. When ignoring systems becomes riskier than following them, systems begin determining outcomes. No takeover occurs. Everyone slowly starts arriving at the same answer. Nobody instructs people to defer. But careers reward consistency. Institutions reward predictability. Audits reward alignment. Over time, following system logic stops feeling like compliance and starts feeling like professionalism itself. The safest choice becomes agreement. Nothing looks dramatic. Hospitals still feel human, courts still deliberate, managers still interview candidates, but decisions increasingly arrive pre-shaped. Before discussion begins, a ranking exists, a probability exists, a recommended path exists. Humans remain present. You still speak to someone face to face. You still explain your situation. You still believe the decision is forming in that conversation. But increasingly, the conversation happens inside boundaries already drawn by software you never see. But the real decision has already happened earlier. New professionals train differently. They learn thresholds, alerts, risk bands. Instead of asking, "What do I think?" they ask, "What does the system show?" And once that question becomes normal, authority is already moved. Turning systems off now feels dangerous. Outcomes vary more, errors increase, accountability weakens, so the infrastructure stays. And once systems become necessary for stability, questioning them feels irresponsible. Removing automation no longer looks like reclaiming human judgment. It looks like introducing risk. At that point, authority doesn't vanish. It relocates permanently. When decision systems become things institutions feel they can't safely run without, human discretion quietly becomes optional. Choices still happen, but fewer begin with humans. If the outcome was shaped before anyone decided, was the decision ever truly open? If this felt subtle, that's because the biggest shifts rarely announce themselves. AI didn't remove decision makers. It changed where decisions actually start. Tap like if this helped you recognize something already happening around you. Subscribe to become part of The Unlocked, where we examine how intelligence and systems quietly reshape human authority. And if someone you know still believes decisions happen only in meetings and conversations, share this with them. Because the future isn't coming. It's already here.